Oh, he got the lyric right too.
Oh,
but for
okay.
some reason, everybody says, I'll be your... And maybe the lyric video is wrong. I don't know.
We're going to clip this out so we can get the word out there, the correct lyric.
Yeah. There you go. Heard it from me.
Hi, I'm Rod Kim, and this is Millennial Sleepover. I hope you had a very happy and safe holiday season. This is part 2 of season 1 of Millennial Sleepover. I hope you enjoyed the first half, which was 4 episodes. And if you didn't get to see those, I hope you go back and check those out. We have some great interviews and conversations with the All-American Rejects, Edwin McCain, Hootie and the Blowfish, and Hinder. And today I get to talk to an old friend, actually, Rozes. I always talk about in my short form content how the 2010s were kind of defined by this pop EDM craze. And I would argue that the song Rozes by the artist Rozes and the Chainsmokers is one of the hallmarks of this era and just defined the EDM pop genre of the time. So today we're going to talk about how the song was actually written about a guy that she had just met that is now her husband. A little bit more of like how it was to work with the Chainsmokers up in New York, and also the next new era of Rozes, which I'm really excited to talk to her about. So without further ado, let's talk to Rozes. Welcome to the Millennial Sleepover, Rozes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Okay, so for people who don't know, for some reason, Rozes is a Billboard #1 electronic, #6 Hot 100, and I didn't see this updated number till this morning. 6-time platinum artist.
Yeah.
But also, for me, most importantly, kid sister of a couple guys I used to gig with all the time on the East Coast. And you guys are seeing the first time we've caught up in several years. It's wild to see you all grown up with a family and everything, but we'll be getting into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is in addition to our connections, what's wild is, for me, I'm sure it's even more wild for you, is, I always talk about like nostalgic music and everything. And your most well-known song, named after you,
Yeah.
is pretty much a decade old by now.
It literally is 10 years old this
Yeah.
year. Mm-hmm.
How's that feel?
It makes me feel old.
Yeah.
Like I used to like have teachers in school and they'd be like, this is my 10th year teaching. I'd be like, wow, they're old.
Right.
And now I'm like, now I know what it is like to be 10 years into an industry.
Yeah.
And it feels like just yesterday, for me that it came out, that I wrote the song or whatever. But now we're 10 years celebrating the 10-year anniversary of its release. And I'm like, where did life go?
Yeah. And, right before recording, we were talking about the last time I actually saw you in person, you were about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And you were playing with an acoustic guitar at Jimmy's Chicken Shack in Dewey Beach, Delaware.
Probably this guitar right behind me.
Well, that's
honestly.
wild. I still have, I don't know if I have the physical, but I have it saved on my iTunes. You looking both ways. You were going by Elizabeth.
Oh, yes. Carry on.
Are you still going by Elizabeth, or is it Elizabeth?
No. Yeah, Elizabeth.
Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Okay, Elizabeth.
I went back to the OG birth name.
I think I know the answers to a lot of this, but just for everybody listening, like at that time you were doing mostly like singer-songwriter, I would say. Like
yes.
maybe folk inspired kind of music, but you really were part of the 2010s like EDM pop movement. I would say like Rozes with the Chainsmokers that you collaborated on the song with was probably one of the hallmarks of that decade. Like, did you see that connection ever, or that route ever being made? And like, how was that once it was?
No, I mean, like you said, I started out acoustic. I wanted to be like Sarah Bareilles or Ingrid Michaelson, just me and my instrument. And I never anticipated that. Like you said, you knew my brothers, and they had been reached out to do a collab with like an Australian DJ, and they were like, you know what, it's not for us, but our sister would be great. So then I ended up doing that collab, which is where the Chainsmokers found me.
Nice.
So it just ended up being this crazy like series of events where I guess the industry just kind of happened to me. Like I always I thought I was in it and I knew what I wanted, but you have to kind of accept the path that presents itself, I would say. It's like, as you know, the industry is full of pivoting. And so yeah, it was kind of just a pivot that I decided to take, a fork in the road.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's and how here you are with like I would argue most people most millennials were hitting their clubbing era when Rozes came out, the song came out.
Yeah.
And
me too.
Right? Yeah.
like me too.
And so like now it's funny to think like we like I'm an older millennial, but some of like the younger millennials like will look back like oh yeah, that's such a nostalgic song.
Yeah. I know that's crazy because it's like I see TikToks, I see the things that people tag me in, and like and it being like, oh, nothing will ever feel like the song when this song came out, and it's like I feel that too. I mean, obviously, right? But no, it's true. Like that was a mark in time for me too. As like I would think I was like 20 years old, 21.
Yeah.
So that for me was it was a club time for me too. That's
amazing. Yeah, I remember. I haven't gotten catch up with you since. Just seeing, I think it was on one of the late night shows, maybe Kimmel. And I just could not. My head could not compute that was the same little girl at Dewey Beach playing acoustic. But I was also, all of us were so proud. So we're like, oh man, the girl made it.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy when someone in the circle like. You see something happen, right? Like, it is kind of crazy. I mean, even me watching that person feels like me. Like, I think like, oh, I can't, like, that's not the same girl. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So for me too, when I see that stuff, I still feel like the girl with the acoustic guitar playing at, dive bars.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that, like, I don't know if people give you enough credit for as being, like, such a great songwriter. Because you and your whole family are very musical. You play more instruments than I ever have. And I went to school for music, And because for anybody that doesn't know, like, both her brothers have been in a few bands. Are the same band under different names. So it's
yeah, that's what it is.
But always very musical. But like,
and
correct me if I'm wrong, but when your collab with the Chainsmokers came out, and also just a lot of songs in that era, I always saw it as like this very like New York songwriter vibe mashed up with the EDM. It was like the DJs found the songwriters, and it was just like this like 2010s like match made in heaven. But
that's exactly what was happening.
Okay,
exactly. Exactly that. Like, I think even then too, like Hype Machine was a big thing. And my like biggest inspirations were just like underground songwriters from New York and Jersey and Philly.
Yeah, it's hard to describe to people who weren't there, but there was like a distinct like New York songwriter.
There was, yeah. Like, even Halsey is part of that crew.
Oh, really?
I would say, like, well, because she's from Jersey.
Okay.
And so, like she was coming up with all that writing as a New York girl too. So, and I think that she even still to this day, you can kind of hear it influence in her songs.
So it's good to know that the intuition was correct, because it was mostly because like the dance music, I think a lot of people, especially before this, like have a idea in their head of like EDM music just being kind of like, oh, it's just vibes, right? And it's the mood. But then, like, what I was hearing in Rozes and other songs like it at the time was like, there's a song at the core of this.
Yeah, I mean, originally it was written just with piano.
Are the rumors true? Like or not rumors, you've probably done interviews about this, but like the song is about your now husband, right?
Yeah, yep.
That's amazing. Congrats to you guys for making it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's, you have proven throughout the years, even beyond the song, and your solo stuff and other collaborations, like you just have like really good intuition. I don't know how else to put it, because
I love that it comes off that way, because sometimes it doesn't feel like that.
Or maybe it's even taste. I'm not sure. I know like Elizabeth Banks has said like, one of the cornerstones of like making it in the arts is having, good taste. Because like even in the Rozes song, there's like dynamics, like you have a good lower register, but you can belt, but you also take advantage of that. So like I don't know, I mean, everybody knows the song knows like the range
the
you
dynamics.
have to have. But like you highlight phrase, even like when they, like say you'll never let me, that's supposed to stand out. The melody speaks just as much as the lyrics do. Even like the choices and lyrics you used were like pre-nostalgic. I've tried to figure out a way to describe this. It's like a song that sounds nostalgic when it first comes out, so that later,
Yeah, like you've heard it before. Like it's a class. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Take me back to a place like, Hideaway. And it's just all these, I don't know, it harkens memories that haven't happened yet.
Oh, that's a really cool way of describing that. Yeah.
Because obviously you and your husband like have way more memories now, right?
10 years later.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I wrote that song, like, I think, like, right as I met him. I
really?
had written down these lyrics. Yeah.
See, there's that intuition then.
So, there you go.
your feeling was right. Also, like, for like an EDM song, especially at the time, or that early on, being like so personal. I'll admit, like the first time I think I heard it, I wasn't registering all the lyrics, probably because it was like at the Rusty Rudder through like a DJ's like loud setup or something. That's
with an Orange Crush.
Right. Oh my God, the Orange Crush. So anyone who knew us in Delaware that's listening to this now is like, they said it. But like, I think you even remember hearing when you say like Hideaway.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first time I heard it, I was like, Holloway, huh? Oh, it must be one of those young kid words, like some reference.
Just walking about in Scotland at the Holloway.
Right? But it's another cool thing is like everything just seems so like
almost casual,
casual and purposeful.
Okay.
Like you're not just saying like I wish we'd get married 10 years from now, and like
yeah.
And and also remember how even at the
I was
time,
like, how do I say this without sounding like a stalker?
Right. That's okay. I didn't think about that.
Like, you have to also take into account that like I had just met this guy. I'm writing a song about him. How do I act cool?
That's
how
great.
do I stay cool?
So there's a songwriting hack for anybody that's like looking into it. Like try to be
I'm just
cool.
like, just be chill, but say you'll never let me go.
I didn't even think about that. That kind of fits that tradition of like every breath you take having like that little bit of creepiness.
Like little stalkery. Yeah.
A reference to like smoking a little weed.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, oh, she's talking about that in public.
Taboo. That line in particular, I remember Drew from the Chainsmokers being like, we should add something about weed in there. And then I was like, okay. Let's do that. I was like, I'm cool. I can do that.
Did you have the pieces of this song before meeting the guys? Like, how?
Yeah, so they had sent me like a bunch of tracks because, like, I mean, still to this day, that's kind of how you do things, I guess.
Yeah, top lining and stuff.
Yeah, but back then they had like DM'd me a bunch of tracks, and I was like, I think I would love to just get together in person. I like, for some reason, was like, maybe we could create something together in the room. Yeah. And so, I'm very like, when it comes to, I'm not type A anywhere else in my life besides in sessions.
Yeah. And
so I always will come with, maybe it's just being an artist. Like I always want to have something that I want to say, and I'll come with like a melody pre-prepared with lyrics. That's just how I operate. And so I came in with the lyrics and melody, and we kind of fiddled with it on the piano when we were in the room together at Drew's apartment. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it kind of, it was like organic and also predestined. I don't know.
Were the chords the collaboration between you guys, or did you have it coming in, or?
Well, the funny thing is, like, I was writing the lyrics, and like on the train, I was like singing it into my phone, like just like the melody. And so when I got there, we had to like figure them out on the piano and sort out what they would be. But yeah, so they weren't necessarily like picked out per se.
That's another nice thing that like I don't know if it was like consciously purposeful, but I think even subconsciously had to been, was like for anybody that's like wanting to dive into like the music theory of things, this is what I promise to do on this podcast a little bit more, is like I love how the chords like all like kind of ride on the suspensions, like the sus2s, the 4s, the 6s, and that fits this whole like let's stay, like I like you. Yeah,
it's the anticipation.
Yeah. Which fits with the EDM thing, because everything, the joke at the time was like everything leads to that drop, right? That bass drop. Was that in like 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 what you were thinking of, or it was like your instinct? Like,
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it just is where it led.
Yeah.
You know, and then I remember like they were producing it quite a bit while we were in the room together, and we remember being like, I remember Drew being like, this feels like a walk in the park. Like, I don't know. There was like there was an original version, which I don't know that anybody ever heard, but there was like this kind of like B section, which like did feel like a walk in the park. And, so that's kind of when I think of that song, I think of him saying it feels like a walk in the park.
That's so funny.
Which is funny because it's a club song at this point. Dance song.
Do you have any advice for anybody that was like as young as you were, doing like, some of their first collabs and writing, like what they would do? Because like we obviously, you know, now we're old enough that we kind of trust our, you know, our gut with practices and our things. But like, for someone that young, I can't imagine like what it'd be like riding up to New York to try to write with some DJs.
No, I mean, I was terrified for sure. I think my biggest advice would be so if you already are in that situation, like I feel like it's just like know how to do a lot of things on your own, because I think the biggest thing is like when you rely on other people, that's when you kind of lose yourself in it.
Gotcha.
So, you know, that kind of thing. I think also too, like know your value, like right off the bat. My best way to compare it is like my friend's getting married and she is looking for a photographer, and she was like, we're going with one of the cheaper, like newer people. And I was like, just because they're new doesn't mean that they're less talented.
Yeah.
Right. Less worthy. And so I think that's kind of my biggest advice is like, just because you're new in the game doesn't mean that you're less valuable. And I wish that I could go back and tell myself that, because for me, I was like, I'll accept anything, you know, for this glimpse of success.
That's so serendipitous that you or synchronicity, I guess, that you bring that up, because like my whole like last 3 or 4 years, like the theme has been worthiness. Like I literally had a song like called Worthy and everything. I don't know, like, and this is, I don't even have an answer for this, but just curious, like how would you go about, especially being that young, like value, like find your worthiness before you know what I mean, like, because even now I'm like, how do I like, you know, to express my worth, I have to like believe it myself, right? So I'm like trying to look at things, you know, like how I've gotten that. I don't know, I
guess like society teaches you to look at your accomplishments, of course, right? And measuring yourself on your accomplishments. So I think it's tough when it gets to that. I don't know. I mean, I think I struggle with that to this day. The industry, the world.
I think I'm coming to grips with like that's just kind of the answer for everybody.
I think everyone feels that way. Yeah. At
every level.
I think you have to find it in your like personal life, you know, outside of because obviously we measure a lot of our social media as our worthiness, right? And like we're just victims to an algorithm sometimes.
That's a whole nother show too. We can talk about that.
So it's I guess who we are when we strip it all away.
Oh, that's a great answer actually. I'm gonna take that to heart, because I know people who watch my TikToks know that like I've told the story a few times of like my whole life people told me that like me talking about songs and I like in music is like, you know, annoying or useless or stop doing or whatever. And then that ended up being my biggest like social platform.
Isn't that the crazy thing? Like once you discover who you are, I feel like that's when the success rolls in. Yeah.
For me, it took until my 40s. So like, I'm glad that you kind of came to that realization earlier. But I know like a lot of people think like, oh, the social media feedback is like what makes you feel good. It does. Don't get me wrong. It does. But really what it's been is like the artists that I grew up listening to and stuff, like been talking to them being like, oh no, you were right in your observation, you know, or a couple artists who like stitch the videos. That for me has been like my little like, okay, I can start to like build my own self-worth just for me.
Yeah. Like I saw Ben Folds like your post the other day.
Oh my God. Yeah. I almost like just curled in the hole. I was like, what did I say? But I was like, okay, no, he's good.
Right.
And I don't know if you guys have ever crossed paths, but I know she was in the same music scene with Christina Perry.
Oh, we have never crossed paths, but ironically, like her family has like grown up like around the area that I've grown up. So we know each other's families, but never met each other.
She had like duetted my thing, I think about Jar Hearts, and he's like, oh yeah, he gets it. I was like, oh my God. Like, Okay.
Amazing. That song's iconic, of course.
Going along with your songwriting and everything, I think as great as the Chainsmoker guys are at their craft, in my observations, like you get left out of the conversation a lot, especially for a song being named after you. And I feel like your writing and your performances, especially from then on, have just blossomed into so much more. So like I don't know if you necessarily feel like this. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like it feels like a lot of people pigeonholed you into like the 2010s EDM thing. But like you're a writer, and we've seen so many songs from you through the years since then. And like one of my favorites is that you put a big video out for it. Was like Halfway There.
Oh, thank you. That's one of my favorites as well.
I mean, we can tell that you grew up with at least church music, if not in church. Like,
Yep.
Very anthemic.
Yep.
And even over like a couple years ago, For Us, these big anthems.
Yeah.
Once again, we're like, I feel like each song you just kind of keep showing us like how much wider your range vocally has gotten.
Yeah, I think so like when I was saying before, like my original dream was always to be like that standalone on the stage person. I never thought I would get into dance music, which I think threw me into, and I think when you're young, at least for me, it threw me into being like the party girl, the hype girl, the cool girl. And for me, that's what I thought that was at the time. I thought that was being somebody in dance music. And not that I didn't like my career in dance music. I just don't know that it was authentically me.
Yeah.
Like I took the path, right, that was presented to me. And so I think now when I had released Halfway There, that was kind of my touch into what I really wanted. And like I really have always wanted to be sitting at my piano singing.
Yeah.
Like singing and having either like backup singers with me, a choir, orchestra, things like that. And so I think like, as it unfolds, and going into my career now, I'm like really diving full-fledged into that type of performance and career aspect, I would say.
So that's actually a good segue. You have wiped your social media, or at least Instagram, and left a very cryptic post with a snippet of a song that I've been privileged enough to hear the whole thing of now, which full disclosure, we're recording this now at a less chaotic time during the LA fires. Elizabeth was kind enough to tell me that she's okay with rescheduling, but I think emotionally I was like, I need this right now, just be talking about music, because it's been not a great couple days for me in the community here.
Yes.
Fortunately, like I'm safe now. I found out this morning. But people just a few miles next to me like have lost everything. So I think I'm already kind of primed to it, but also like being out in LA for almost a decade now and stuff, and hustling, or even back in Delaware when we met and stuff, to hustling in music, just feeling this. But she sent me the song and I put it on kind of innocently, without I was literally just listening to it to do like what do I notice about this song musically, and I just had the healthiest cry I've needed in days. And I'm like I'm thinking about it now, just like thinking of like the melodies and stuff. You are entering this new era of Rozes, and we've done a lot of prep for this show, but I don't know anything about this point. So like, just tell us where you're going from here.
Yeah. So I would say, I think it's a return to home. Like, it's funny that we talked about how you knew me before everything, right? Because I feel like that's kind of where I'm going back to. I wouldn't say I'm going back to the girl with the guitar, but definitely the girl with the piano. And I'm gonna start playing more acoustic shows with my piano and things like that. But yeah, I'm leaning into the vision I had when I fell in love with music, because as you said, the industry, it's really hard, and you lose yourself and your worthiness and all of that, like over and over and over again. And I think becoming a mom and being forced to take time off in an industry where you really can't, because it's like, if you're out of the algorithm, you don't exist. If you are out of not releasing music, it doesn't matter because people don't even know. They don't even notice, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, what do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to present myself as? Who would I want my daughter to see? And I think that's kind of, took me to this moment of stepping back into who I was when I started and fell in love with the career. And that's just writing what I feel is true. And I, growing up, always would just sit at my parents' piano and just like cry and write like the most dramatic songs. But that's who I always was, right? And I would leave the music room. My mom would be like, "Are you depressed?" But
like, I'm a teenager, of course I am.
I'm going through a breakup. But yeah, so it's kind of like the new music is definitely going to be very raw and very vocal heavy. And I'm not going to say that I won't do DJ collabs because I definitely will be. I have some planned for 2025, but it's going to be like when you want to listen to Rozes, you know what you're listening to. And I feel like that has kind of gotten lost within my career at some point.
Oh, gotcha.
I feel like there's that EDM and then there's the bubblegum pop and then there's halfway there. And it's just like, I feel like as a writer, you can get confused because you can write the genres, but then as an artist, you're like, which one am I?
I feel that, that also echoes, there was another female songwriter that I wish I could mention who, but they're on another friend's podcast and I don't want to like out their story before it comes out, but
okay.
She's written several dozens of hits, very similar to your career, but similar sentiment. She's like, I just kind of got lost in who I was collaborating with.
Yes.
And she's trying to, like you said, return to home.
Reclaim who you wanted to be.
I feel like, I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like that's how you made it though. Like you're able to do what you want now. I know that sounds cliche, but like,
yeah, I guess that is. It's scary, of course, because the industry is tough right now. I mean, it's very saturated, as it should be. There's so much talent. Musicians aren't paid well, and writers, and and so it's scary because you have to be willing to start something new that people might not like, but I have, like you said, halfway there. That is a good glimpse into the direction that I'm headed. So I have proof of concept. Yeah. As the plan A in me, I'm like, that worked. I can do it.
That's great. It's like a little. It's not all bravery. It's like, okay, I have a little bit of support.
Yeah, I have a little cushion there.
But diving into like the song itself, that piano intro, I already knew I was going to be in for it because I'm assuming it's you playing, right?
That's actually my friend Aaron.
Oh,
he's playing that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So credit to Aaron for just that
credit to Aaron.
Just the bass notes, and I don't know.
Thank you.
So I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But
I love that.
Once again, with your instincts, taste, whatever we want to call it, like both melodically and lyrically, I love how you like kind of gradually escalate the stakes. So when you were saying like it's been 1,000 years and a million tears, and it's like these things that like I feel like a lot of people, both listeners and other aspiring writers, like don't think about, but that like vocabulary is important because it needs to like kind of trick you into feeling things like me until it's too late,
Yeah.
And you capping off each of the verse lines with "It's all we know." I think that's what broke me. Because like I was just talking with a friend about, we're joking about we're both immigrant kids, so surviving this fire thing is like, well, it's Thursday, so,
yeah.
But
the whole world's always burning for us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, it's all we know. It's like,
yeah,
it shouldn't be that way,
right. The
and
fight
then,
shouldn't be all you know. Exactly.
Yeah. And then you don't even let us have a break. You followed up immediately like it's an uphill road or an uphill road. And then like you reiterate the miles and miles, and then once again, it's all we know.
It's all you know.
And with the cadence and the rhythm of the melody you chose is like this push and pull, like you're doing this like kind of rubato, like melodic thing, and it's just the pieces are all coming together, and it's just painting this picture. I don't even know what the hook is at that point yet. It hasn't come, and I'm like, this is already about me. You know?
Good. I'm glad you feel that way.
Where were you at when that was coming together?
My whole career has been me essentially traveling away from home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are times when I hate it. And this particular writing trip, I hated it. I was like, I want to be home. What am I doing? Like, why am I being so far away? My husband and I had just gotten married. All of my friends were starting families. And then I was seeing artists in town just having their pop off moments. And it was just like, I just felt like, what? I'm never going to have anything because I'm not happy. Like where I am, like I just got married and I'm away from my husband every 2 weeks a month. You know what I mean? So it was a lot. And so when I was writing that, I was writing it with another artist named Sarah Reeves. And I had come in and I was like, I have this concept, like I said, prepared. Yeah. I was like skip ahead. Like what if we just like wrote something where it was like, I want the good parts. How do we get back to the dream of it all? You know, because it's like, as we mentioned, my husband has been in this career for me from the start. Yeah. Obviously didn't see me playing like those coffee shops with my acoustic guitar, but he was there pre-release of Rozes. Yeah. And so he was there for the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in the career. And so I really wanted to portray like the skipping ahead to when we had dreams again, you know, when we had, so heartbreaking. You know, though, like when you weren't so jaded, like the planning of when you weren't jaded kind of thing. And, you know, we were trying for a baby at that time too. So it felt like it was happening. Everything was happening for everyone else. And I was seeing it not happening for me. Yeah. And I was taking it personally, you know.
That's understandable because when you were saying in town, you were in Nashville at that point, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's a lot of beautiful things about Nashville, but it's also a very like vicious town. People vicious. Who aren't there. Yeah. You know, if you know, you know, I guess this is the thing.
Yeah.
Like people tell me all the time, like, why don't you move to Nashville? I was like, that's another conversation.
Yeah.
And I love Nashville. I go there all the time, but you know, but you've since literally returned home, right?
I have literally returned home. Like I literally have returned home. My husband and I, we had a place there for the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. Had our baby, moved there full time. I was like, I can't be here. I can't do this. Like I can't create because I feel like I don't belong. Mm-hmm. And so, we decided to pack up and come back home to Philly. And I'm just writing all of my stuff from here now, and I'm loving it.
That's beautiful.
But, you know, yeah. So,
like you said, this is a dream. You know,
that's the dream. And you know what's funny is like younger me would say, "Can I skip ahead to that moment? Can I skip ahead to that? To you know, like being to living home, having a family, writing music, releasing music, having it funded by a label, and but me." Now I see it and I'm like, what can I skip ahead?
Oh, gotcha.
You know what I mean? So it's like younger me would see me now and be like, wow, she's doing it. Can I get to that part? And then me now is like, I still want to skip ahead to more things. It's the essence of always moving the goalpost.
Yeah. I heard one of my TikTok mutuals, I think it was Sujia, forgive me if that's wrong. And also if she referenced someone else, then someone check that. But she said something to the effect of like, you realize at some point that there is only the journey and not really the end.
The destination. Yeah.
Because I'm sure now, like I'm not a parent, but like with your kid, like you're going to look back on the younger years and just be like, oh man, you know, like there were probably nights where you wish you could skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
I have a now 10-year-old niece. My brother's like, don't get me wrong, I love my daughter, but those baby years.
You're in the upside down. We are currently in the upside down. But,
the upside down.
You know, yeah, we call it the upside down. And you know, it's somebody described it as the hardest best thing, and it's true.
Oh, that's great. Is that a song coming up from Rozes? The hardest.
Never know. The hardest best thing.
You heard it here first. And that's another thing. I'm such a non bad or non-traditional podcast host, and didn't even mention the song is called Skip Ahead.
Yes. Yes, so, it's called Skip Ahead.
Yeah. And that's another thing I love about your either melodic choice or intuition on that was the melody and the lyrics skip ahead is so conversational because you sing it like we would say it, like, can you skip ahead? But you linger on that ahead in a way that like only you can. Because I noticed, like, anybody that's familiar with your music knows like how you hold your vowels and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how it was supposed to come across or how we intended to come across. For me, it was like, it just felt like that lingering, like not quite letting go of something.
Yeah.
Either the aspiration or what's behind. I just think it's so beautiful because like those two words paint such a majority of that chorus. And it speaks so much because by this time in the song, I'm just like on the floor here and my cat's consoling me.
You know, what's funny is when I go into a studio, I typically really like what I say usually is I want it to stab you in the heart. I want the listener to feel like they have literally been heartbroken.
Mission like accomplished.
When I used to listen to Adele, I would break my own heart listening to her stuff. Like I might not be going through a heartbreak, but she puts out Someone Like You and I am. You know what I mean? And so like when I write, I want people to feel. And so, like, I specifically will try to appeal to the senses: touch, taste, smell, feel. I try to add lyrically things that will be like, you know, appeal to that kind of stuff. And
that is some like top knowledge from Rozes. I've heard like the sentiment a lot, but I haven't heard it distilled like you just said, like appealing to the senses.
I'm trying to always do that. Like I have a song called Weed and Wine that'll come out at some point in this year. And, but the lyric is, you smell like weed and wine, a cologne you put on from time to time. That's appealing to the smell, right? Yeah. And it puts people in a moment of, wow, I think I understand that. Yeah, I mean, if you've been there, you've been there, right? You know, I know what that smells like. And so, I just really want people to be able to feel what I'm feeling in any way that can relate to them. You know what I mean?
I talk to a lot of younger writers because ever since the pandemic, like I've been mostly like writing with younger artists, you know, that have like come up from TikTok and stuff. And the way I usually tell them something similar to what you said, like it's fine if you just want to write songs. You can write songs and just have them for you. But if you're writing to like publicly, like, I don't know, be on some sort of commercial level, artistically, like the goal is to connect.
Yeah.
So however you feel, it's not just about your expression. It's about your expression plus reception.
Yeah.
Not commercial, not like numbers, but like if someone gets it. Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody else can feel it. I think that's the biggest thing too, is like when you are promoting a song, right? Like I always want to tell my specific story of exactly why I came up with those lyrics. But at the same time, I don't want to take away from my listeners their interpretation. You know, I want them to add their story to it. Because like the biggest thing is like my favorite listener of music is probably my husband, because he is not the most, forgive me for saying this, but musically inclined. He thinks he is. But the way that he listens to music, he creates an entire story behind these songs. Yeah. Whether it's what he's feeling or whether he thinks it's what the artist is feeling. And I think if he were to ever know what the songs are about, it might take the magic away from him.
Oh, I get you know? Yeah.
And so when I'm writing a song or when I'm explaining a song, I'm not always vague. I mean, I am an open book. But I always want to leave a gap for interpretation for however somebody else can receive the song. Like you said, you were listening to it as somebody who was going through the LA fires, immigrant child, like that. And that was your interpretation. And that's how it hit you and stabbed you in the heart. Yeah. And so like, I never want to take that away from a listener, but I do want them to feel that as a listener, you know?
Yeah. Because even the following part of the chorus, like the things you list are both our mutual friend Richie Rubini had told me, you know, like be specifically vague or something. So you basically like list things that were specific to you, but all of us have, like you were like, I'm tired of trouble, pain, and the waiting game. Now,
Exactly.
being in music, I know what you mean by the waiting game.
Yes.
Because like you were talking about a writing trip when you were still in Nashville, so this has been a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, so this was, well, I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so like, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it was
a wait.
it was right before I was pregnant with my daughter, so that was about 2 years ago.
So wait, it's like a hurry up and wait kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you leave us lingering. We go to another verse, and then you come back, and you're at the bridge, and then you just keep going with the list.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
But I love the cadence of it because it sonically feels like what a to-do list.
Yeah, I'm like, does it hurt yet? I'm going to keep going.
Right. And anybody that's familiar with my TikToks know, like, I always love when there's a good, I call sweat pause or a band dropout in a song.
Mm-hmm.
So you go for that down chorus.
I do,
and
yeah.
There's the stab.
I do. The drama. I love the drama.
Because we get
which is what's coming with new stuff too. It's lots of drama.
Yeah, because you grew up in the emo era, right? So you're very familiar.
Emo era, yes, definitely.
But you have that beautiful down chorus where we can hear you get really vulnerable and tender again, and then tired is where I feel like that's where the knife comes down.
Tired of trouble.
The strings that you're in full voice, and then you just kind of like end, and so we have to listen to it again.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Have you seen that meme of like, I'm the kind of person that like listens to it again because it didn't hurt hard enough?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I hope that my music does for listeners, where they're like, you know what, I have to listen to this again. I need to cry again. So
I've listened to it about 3 or 4 times now, just so I can make some notes to talk to you about it. But I had to like actually physically stop myself because I was preparing to do this recording. I was like, you can't be like, inconsolable. So afterwards, though, it's going to be.
Well, it's funny because like I know when a song feels right for me when I feel something when I listen to it. Like the last time I would say was like halfway there. I used to cry listening to that song. I remember getting that song back and just crying because like it just felt so real for me. And like that's what Skip Ahead is for me too. Is like it feels so real and relevant in every situation that I've been in my life. And like I was just like telling my husband too. It's like it feels like there's not a better time to release a song because I feel it in every moment of my being. Yeah. I wish I could skip ahead to the good parts.
Right.
And who doesn't feel that way?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. Do you have a release date yet? I know you've been like kind of teasing it.
It will be February 7th.
7th? Oh, so soon. And I'm aiming to get this out before a certain social media platform goes away.
I know.
So hopefully we'll have this posted.
What are we going to do?
I don't know. I'm going to have more peace, I know, at least. But so it's not too long after this episode hopefully comes out. Everybody will find it on all these streaming platforms and stuff. Before we move on to the last part, is there anything else that like we didn't talk about that you want people to take from like the new song or look forward to and skip ahead?
I don't think so. I think that I'm really excited to like be stepping into this part of my career. I just hope people embrace it. It feels like it's more storytelling for me.
I'm excited for you because the way you're describing it feels like I'm catching up with you where we left off, and that makes me so happy for you.
I love that.
So before we finish, I usually show artists some covers. Are you down to?
I'm so down.
Okay, so this first one is some YouTube colleagues of mine, Kurt Hugo Snyder and Sam Sui. I don't know if Kurt remembers me. He was the other vest-wearing YouTuber. For people who know, they know. Me and Kurt have met at least a couple of times. Very talented producer, and in this scenario, playing piano. Sam, you're gonna see Sam singing. Sam was one of the OG YouTube like kind of cover singers and stuff. My claim to fame with Sam is I run into him in line for I think Japanese food or Korean food at the Glendale Galleria several years ago.
It's like this sounds like a frequent thing.
Right? Yeah. No, this was a while ago, but since then, Sam has also gotten married. Him and his husband adopted a beautiful little girl. So also new parents.
I love that.
So this is Kurt and Sam doing your song.
Take it slow, but it's not typical. He already knows that my love is fire. was a stone, but then a sands roll. I turned into gold, then it took him higher. Oh, I'll
There's
be
that drama.
a daydream. I'll wear your favorite thing.
Oh, he got the lyric right too.
We could be beautiful. Get drunk on the good life. I'll take you to paradise.
It's so good.
Say you'll never let me go. Deep in my bones, I can feel you. Take me back to a time only we knew how to wait.
Wow. Never gets old.
Listen out with an old film, smoke a little weed on the couch in the back room, hide away. Say you'll never let me go.
Wow.
Say you'll never let me go.
Dang. He should have been the singing on this. Woo. I'm in awe. That was amazing. I mean, it really doesn't get old. Like, seeing people cover that song, any song, it will always like hit me right in the heart. It's amazing. And things like that with the piano, you can hear the song. You know how I imagined it when I first wrote it.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
Crazy.
Kurt and Sam. It's closer to how Rozes imagined it.
The OG.
You clocked it. I heard you say like they got the lyric right.
It's I'll be your daydream. I'll wear your favorite things.
Oh,
But for
okay.
some reason, everybody says I'll be your, and maybe the lyric video is wrong. I don't know. People say I'll be your daydream. I'll be your favorite things, but it's I'll wear your favorite things.
Okay.
And
Okay,
so,
so
yeah.
we're gonna clip this out so we can get the word out there, the correct lyric.
Yeah. There you go. Heard it from me.
So this next one is I tried my best to like see who all it was. The YouTube channel is Sam Frick. I hope I'm saying that right. Either Frick or Fricky. He or she didn't list who the other two people with them were.
Okay.
So please, Sam, if you see this, tag the other two people that are performing with you. But they literally just sat on their couch and played this.
Take it slow, but it's not typical. He already knows that my love is fire. His heart was stone, but then his
I love like the cajon keeping keeping the groove.
Love it. It's so cool that people sit down to do this.
I can feel you. Take me back to the time only we knew how to wait. We can waste some time with
Yeah, they went for the parts.
on the couch in the back room, how to wait.
Say you'll never let me go.
Oh,
Say you'll never let me go.
drops coming.
Yep.
Love that they got this thing.
Say you'll never let me go.
Oh, great. I love it. I love it. Also, did they have an amp where you would see an air conditioner?
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Like the
Oh
top.
yeah, there is. These are musicians.
These are
we
musicians,
could-
people.
They're like, we don't need AC. 'cause
They're
we can-
like, there's an empty square here. That's where an amp will go.
right. Great job, Sam and friends. I'm also still not sure which one of you is Sam. Could be any three of you.
I was gonna ask. I was like, which one is Sam?
I didn't know. I tried to do my best and like look into people's other social media accounts, but this trio is so like low key. The YouTube videos are the only thing I could find that existed. Is if they have
Wow.
it, whatever other social media platforms they have, like are not directly connected, or I'm too dumb to find them. So hopefully this
Wow.
finds you guys, or if anybody watching knows send them.
Hey, we would love to find Sam.
So this next one is a gal named Ella Wren. Shorter cover, but for TikTok a couple years ago.
Deep in my bones, I can feel you. Take me back to a time when we knew how to wait. We always night with an old film.
Oh, people are so artistic.
You can tell she's like feeling it. Like,
Yeah.
Never let me go.
Oh, I love it. That was so cool.
yeah, good
It's
job,
the
Ella.
fact that people like sit down and like practice, like when I think of like myself about to do a cover, right? Like you're sitting there and you're practicing it, and the best way to do it, and like the fact that to think about people sitting down to do it to one of my songs is crazy.
Right? Yeah, you
Like it's an effort.
were trying to not be creepy for your now husband, and now like kids all around the world are like
Are singing
dissecting
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, subtweeting it to people. Is that
Like
a
saying,
millennial
"Never let me
saying? I
go."
feel like it is.
Yeah.
Subtweeting.
Okay, so I got one more of Roses. This is a fella named Dare Barefoot. I'm assuming it's Dare and not Dairy, but I don't know. You can correct me.
Take it slow, but it's not typical. He already knows that my love is fire. His heart was a storm, but then his hand.
You guys Pup making a cameo.
Wow, I think he even added harmonies in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll be a daydream. I'll be your favorite thing. We could be beautiful.
It almost feels sad.
Drunk on a good life. Take you to paradise. Say you'll never let me go. Deep in my bones, I can feel you. Take me back to a time only we knew how to wait. We could waste a night with an old film, smoke a little weed.
Wow, it's crazy how he made it sound sad.
Yeah, it's just like this melancholy.
Say you'll never
mood.
let me go.
Wow.
Say you'll never let me go.
Feels like a breakup. It's kind of crazy how like that vibe you can make that song sound like a breakup song. I didn't realize that.
From what I saw, because I was able to find Dare's other social media platforms, it looks like, congratulations, he recently got engaged and is expecting his first child. So
Wow, congratulations.
yeah, so hopefully that song was just an artistic expression and not like a real.
I mean, it was an awesome artistic expression. That's
Right.
For sure.
It kind of gave me like a little Bon Iver.
Yeah,
vibe,
I was thinking that in Hosier.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I didn't think. Yeah, that's probably more
Yeah,
accurate.
That's what it was giving me. Yeah, loved it.
So that's usually where we end this section off. But I thought it was really fun because, like I mentioned before, like one of my favorite songs of yours is Halfway There. I have one here from Jody Lynn Roberts, and she posted this a while ago, so she probably never really thought that you'd ever see this.
Hey, we've been going through some changes. Tell me that we'll make it. Tell me that we'll make it. Oh, I don't wanna be alone. Tell me that you'll hold on. Tell me that you'll hold on. Without you, these walls get to feeling like they ain't
There's that-
home.
Oh,
We're
I love that.
halfway there.
There's that range that you
Are we
have.
gonna finish
She
what
brought
we
it.
started or just leave it here? 'Cause the fight ain't fair.
Oh,
If we're hanging on to something only halfway there, can't wait forever. We know better than to let it go. We're already halfway there. We're already halfway there.
well, she's giving me some Alanis Morissette with like the vocal cracks and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
loving it.
High
Oh,
note.
I love that. Yeah, that's special. I don't know. I mean, Roses is obviously a very special song, but people covering songs that are not collaborations for me they just hit me in a way that I can't describe.
I can only imagine. Yeah, because that's just coming from you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like they found my music from just me, which is, wild.
We're in a time difference here because I'm on the West Coast. So you're on these. I can see the sun setting behind you. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, but it was so great catching up. And I'm so proud of you. I don't know if I've said that here yet.
Thank you.
See, like, I don't, to everybody watching, I literally watched her as a 14, 15-year-old play to a bunch of drunk guys on a beach bar. So proud of you and like your songwriting and your music and just like watching you to persevere through all this bullshit. Like, to be frank, everything like, I don't know. You're a hopeful story for us all. Like,
Aww.
someone who fights can make it. February 7th, you said?
February 7th.
For Skip Ahead.
Yeah.
Make sure, for my opinion, make sure that you're in a place where you can, or what do they say now? You have to hold space
have
for
the
song.
capacity. Yeah.
where you held space for Defying Gravity. Prepare to hold space for Skip Ahead. And this new era of Rozes, the return to home. Where can everybody find you? And is there anything else you want to leave with everyone if you're the future of your...
Well, I don't know if only Instagram exists these days. It's the same everywhere at Rozes Sounds. And, I hope that you'll find me on the road too. So,
oh, nice. Okay. So some tour dates coming up. I'm doing like small intimate shows. I want to strip it back, like I said, to who I was before, and going to be small intimate shows with like a wine night with roses type thing. That's how you can tell we're entering our middle ages, where we're just like, I just want to be chill now. Yeah, I just want it to be intimate and then go to bed. Same. All right, thanks so much, and all the best on this next era. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And thanks to Rozes for catching up. And I'm so happy to hear that she's returning home to the young artists that I saw play at Jimmy's Grill when we were both, just like starting in our music careers. And she's just taken off, and I couldn't be prouder. If you're enjoying this series, I would love for you to, do all the things, like and subscribe, but also most importantly, tell anybody that that you think might enjoy these conversations about this show and this episode. As most of you know, I never really set out to be a podcaster, but I do love discussing songwriting and music and some of my favorite songs from other eras of my life. And I'm thankful to you for making that possible. Thanks for being in my orbit, and stay tuned for the next installment of Millennial Sleepover.